Hey there, everyone. We are here once again with the Edge podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Bomber.
And we are just really excited and really keen to talk about all the things happening in Sedgefield, many of which are covered in the Edge. And we're even going to get a little bit of a preview a little bit later on about what else is coming up. But of course, the biggest news that we can talk about and consider and contemplate and feel a lot about is the terrible accidents that happened in George, the collapsed building. Now, Bomber, you've tracked along with this quite well. Can you give us some of the latest on that?
Yeah, this morning they announced quite sadly, I think, that it wasn't 75 people in the building when it collapsed. The building is Victoria Street. It was an apartment, a multi-floor apartment.
Okay. Yeah.
It was complete except for the final finishing touches.
Phew.
Finishing touches, electrical work, tiling. Yeah. So there was a lot of small...
Not construction anymore. That part had been done. Such. Okay.
It collapsed, as most people will know, into a terrible heap.
Yeah.
Up until this morning, they had said it was 75 people that were in the building at the time, on the site at the time. This morning, they said no, they've recalculated, getting more information, and actually 81
people in a collapsed building.
And it collapsed, yeah.
Wow. And there have been several fatalities.
Yeah, there's been 8 fatalities so far. 37 victims retrieved.
Wow.
16 of them are critical. So even then, they're not out of the woods yet.
It's an absolute tragedy. I mean, this has been picked up by, was it CNN?
CNN,
I saw BBC doing a little bit on it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
It's really huge news, but what a terrible way to be in the news.
Absolutely, and this is actually a good point now about where do we get the most reliable, up-to-date information, would you say, on this? Because I've heard, I haven't, delved deep into this. I've just seen little snippets and headlines and things like that. And I've heard, the conjecture, and I don't even want to throw out some of the stuff that I would regard as fake news or not verified, so not reliable. Yeah. But where should we be really, do you think, listening? Where's a good, reliable source for us?
I'm doing a sort of a regular update on the Edge Facebook page.
Okay.
And I've pinned it to the top, so I'm just updating as I get information in. The George municipality are doing regular updates.
Oh, good. Okay.
The George Herald is also on the scene all the time, doing updates. So the local newspaper, and because it's such a serious thing, there is no room for conjecture.
Yeah,
there's
please.
no room for blame laying, which a lot of it is going on now, but not by the officials.
Yeah.
There's been the media on the site have been asking about what went wrong, how it happened, and the municipality has been very strong in its answer of it's sticking to its answer of we are rescuing at the moment. We are not.
Let's get this sorted out first.
Yeah. There will be investigations. SAP's members are on site. Other investigators are on site, but they are just on site. To look out for what went wrong, any sort of sign, because obviously as the heavy equipment moves in to lift the rubble and what have you, there will be stuff that they can see, but no blame has been laid.
Okay.
The developer of the building has offered their condolences. I feel dreadfully sorry for them. I know all eyes are on them at the moment as well. They have offered their condolences, and they said no stone will be unturned
I'm sure they're going to
get
go
to
for
the bottom of this. But nobody knows.
Sure. It was so great to see how many volunteers just stepped in straight away. Wow. I mean, you hear the reports of it happened, and almost a few minutes, less than an hour later, and people are there, and they've been working at it, going at it must be well past 72 hours now. Yeah. And they haven't taken breaks.
No, they haven't, and it's it is a job that even for the rescue personnel, but especially for the volunteers who aren't used to this sort of thing, that must be a roller coaster of emotions, from getting incredibly tired. You're carrying bricks, you're doing that. They've got, from what I've seen, they've got, the volunteers are sort of off the site, well, on the perimeter of the site.
Yeah.
And so as rubble gets passed down, buckets of rubble, because they've got to be very careful how they unpack the site.
Of course, yeah.
So buckets of rubble will be passed by the proper rescue workers.
And the people who know which ones
the
we move
perimeter.
away.
And then they're taking it away from the site so that they don't get built up. They're taking it far away. So there's sort of volunteers passing bucket to bucket to bucket.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to them. What an amazing blessing.
Wow, absolutely. And we've got a Sedgefield resident who's the sort of area representative of Gift of the Givers, Mario Ferreira. He's been there from, I think, an hour after the accident happened. And I don't know that he's had any sleep. He's been amazing. We do have to take our hats off to him.
Massive commendation.
Gift of the Givers are always there, and he's the representative of them. And they're looking after, I think, general needs for the victims and their families. So if the families are sitting waiting, either on the outskirts, or the municipalities giving them a place to sit and wait, and every hour that goes past, they get more desperate. So I think Gift of the Givers is doing, feeding them, giving them blankets at night, because you're in a municipal
those immediate,
hallway.
Physical needs.
Physical needs.
Yeah, and they've done so well with that. Whenever we've had a tragedy or something that's struck in Smutsville or just around town, the Gift of the Givers are going to be there and do absolutely fantastic work. So we thank them in a very, very big way. Yeah. And that's for more immediate, quick things that happen. Yeah. And there's a bit of a danger of that happening with the here in Smutsville, kind of on the border of Groenvallei and Smutsville, with a lot of houses being built, a lot of more and more erosion kind of happening. And this was the front page story of what's happening with the dune and the complaints. And there's very much safety implications in that as well.
I think the biggest implications are the safety implications.
Well, there we go,
because it's a sensitive dune. It's covered in a very sort of thin layer of fynbos, which kind of holds it all together.
It's a sand dune.
It's a sand dune. Yeah. So when the fynbos is removed for people to build on it, then obviously it's no longer a healthy dune. Obviously, there's all sorts of other aspects. There's the building on a skyline, which isn't right in any neighborhood. Yeah. There's the waste factor, the waste rubbish being thrown down the side of the dune.
Yeah, of all sorts. Yeah.
There's no services that can go up there. So it's a huge social problem.
Yeah. It's municipal land. Right?
It's owned by the municipality. Yeah.
And in 2020 there was the court order that this should not happen, that there should be enforcement for it. I mean, that's a good 4 years ago now.
Yes, Dr. Michelle Gratz, I think we mentioned this before. She was so alarmed because this was going on that she got a court order to stop. And the court order basically gives license to law enforcement and the police to stop building going on.
Yes.
It must be a very hard job to stop people building a home, because
then where do they go?
They're just trying to make a place to live.
That's right.
But there has to be laws somewhere, and which is the drum I've always been banging on, is that they need to identify land elsewhere in a less sensitive zone, less steep, less
sand dune, the official term,
that people can build, even if they're building temporary structures there. Because this is just, it's not going to work. There's going to be and also, if there's a court order and then something does happen and somebody does get hurt, properties gets damaged, if there's a big collapse, I mean, we look at the building in George, that nobody expected that. It could be the same with the dune here. Nobody expects it. the municipality is then liable
Is
because
liable,
they
yes,
have not
absolutely.
enforced the court order.
Yeah, but they're saying now that they will, and we're definitely going to keep up to date with that and try and track to see
Yeah.
what actions are being taken. I mean, I'm in Groenvallei, and I'm gonna keep an eye out,
Yep.
very much so. And I think if we all do and continue to, and to keep asking the municipality, and to send those emails and to send those WhatsApps
Yeah.
and to send those messages and make sure that we've got a unified voice, because it's not just, I would say, I mean, maybe in many cases it is out of selfishness and out of we don't want that noise, constantly
Yeah.
over weekends. We want people to live dignified lives. And a big part of that
Absolutely.
is going to be the housing. And a big part of that then comes to the budget
Yes.
and how that budget is spent and how there has been unrest because of the budget being proposed and given and then being massive celebrations. It's going to be okay. And then it's not, and nothing happened. And Lavelle has written another piece just on his dissatisfaction with the Ward 1 budget.
Yes, yeah. Well, the budget in general, he's not happy with. And what's happened is housing was always part of the budget.
Yeah.
In previous years, housing for once again the Smutsville community have been promised to have their run of housing built
And
built in
literally
Smutsville.
promised. I mean,
Promised,
there
yeah,
are
it was-
certificates of promises.
Yes,
I'm going to remember that picture from one of the previous issues.
Yeah,
My goodness.
and then suddenly it's off the budget, and so Councillor Lavelle Davis, Ward 1, which is Smutsville and the island and Kolomaioli, he's tearing his hair out because
Sure.
he's been promising and himself promising the community. So the article in the paper about his dissatisfaction was he had a Ward 1 meeting in which the mayor and the municipal manager were supposed to be there to explain
I remember
the
that.
budget.
Yes. Yeah.
And the municipal manager sent his apologies, which is better than the mayor who just didn't pitch.
show up.
So, once again, it's the members of the public shouting the odds because they are frustrated. Understandably. They feel robbed, and I can fully understand that. And Lavelle's having to field the questions, and he's not the one that created the chaos.
That's it. And he wants to solve it, and just
Yeah.
there must be such frustration, such a feeling of powerlessness.
Yeah.
And I know, definitely feeling that, listening to some of the council meetings and kind of what's been going on with that. From you dropped me a message as it happened. I think it was on Friday, a previous Friday, where there were F-bombs. Well, one in particular, a big old cuss being thrown out.
Yeah, we had it was such an interesting thing. Chris and I, we do like to listen to the municipal council meetings.
It's more entertaining than it should be, honestly.
Yeah. We're going to start a series sometime called Desperate Municipal Councillors of Neisner, because if anyone said to me earlier on in my life, you're going to be listening to council meetings, I would have said, no, I'm never going to be that bored.
Yeah.
But they are so entertaining. They
really
are so
are.
scary. They are so scary. And yes,
horrifying when you realize the reality. Yeah, you get to the reality of it, that these are people who should be looking out for, but these are the
should
shenanigans.
be working together. Okay, we
yeah.
had the incident we talked about a month ago where a councillor referred to compared the behavior of other councillors to monkeys, which we thought that was as bad as it was going to get.
Nope.
But this meeting, the municipal manager, Mr. Umbali Sibelo, called a DA councillor. Well, he didn't call him anything. He said, I won't use the word, but he said F you. And there was 3 letters after the F. Yeah. And chaos erupted.
Yeah.
He, the councillor, I think it's Jason White. But
I saw. Yeah, it was
Jason White.
That he said
okay,
it
he's
too.
quite a young guy.
Yeah,
So
youngest on there,
he was interrupting the municipal manager. He was asking the municipal manager a question, and municipal manager said, "I don't deal with children."
Are you kidding?
And all hell broke loose.
Whoa!
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we don't laugh, we cry. Because
a little
these
bit.
are the people working together.
And
They're supposed to be working with the Western Cape government.
that's right.
On
Yeah.
the plan. It doesn't look like that's working because the Western Cape government are now taking further steps.
And
there was a councillor, Mark Willemse,
Yes.
who made a sort of a passionate plea at that meeting. I think it was after the swearing incident, to say, look, guys, this is what we've been reduced to.
Yeah.
We are
Please,
in this
let's take a
position.
look.
We're shouting and screaming and whatever, and Neisner is failing.
Yeah.
And I think he put all of our sentiments right on the table right there.
Yeah. I mean, it has to. It just feels like it's hit that breaking point so many times now.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely.
okay, well, this is it. Okay, surely this will be the event or the incident that's going to be like, something big has to change. We've got to have some kind of repentance, some kind of turning from our current thinking. But it may very well get to the point of administration, which is something that's been sort of thrown out. And it's not something that I fully understand well. So I really appreciated the section in the Age dealing a little bit with what is administration and what's it going to mean? What it's all about. What's it going to mean for us? How is it going to change? Will it change any of our day-to-day stuff? Is it a magic wand that poof, we're going to have a working, amazing council? So can you give us a bit of a kind of shorter rundown? Yeah,
I can certainly try. It basically means when the Western Cape government, in our case, when the provincial government does not believe that the council and the administration of a municipality is providing services as they should.
Sure.
So it can be taken out. Several factors are it's mismanagement, governance failures, service delivery breakdown.
We're ticking a lot of boxes here. Yeah.
Yep, and allegations of corruption.
Sure. Okay. No,
So
we're
quite
4
a
for
few
4
there,
there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Issues that undermine the municipality's ability to manage its finances and deliver essential services.
I mean, they're basically describing. I mean, on one hand, it's almost good to know that this is something that's not only acknowledged, but that's something that's happened in multiple other municipalities, I would assume.
Yeah.
This is a well-known thing that happens for, municipalities that aren't working, councils that really aren't coming together.
So they basically send an administrator in, or administrators in. I think they normally appoint a single administrator to be in charge, and they just start overseeing municipal affairs, overseeing the various departments, finding out where there's failures.
So not dissolving everything as they come in.
Okay. No, there is later on, if things get very bad, they can look at dissolving the council, but that is definitely not a given.
So that's not like administration, council gone, a little bit of chaos.
If the council work with the administrator, then the council continues. Because otherwise, then we've got to have by-elections.
Oh my goodness!
I'm pretty sure the DA would clap their hands if we had to have by-elections.
That's interesting.
We can't afford it.
No.
I don't know who pays for by-elections, but we've got our general elections coming up. I don't think we need by-elections as well.
As well. Yeah, sure. Just getting all of that. Okay, well, it's definitely going to be one that we try to keep a finger on the pulse of that and where that goes, and where we'll definitely be hearing a lot about it from the Edge and in discussions, and also making sure that we get the right information from the right people. One interesting thing before we move on to our last little segment was how we were looking for this video because they live stream all of these council meetings. And it seems the one that we're speaking about in hand that we're previously, where there was the F-bomb thrown out, that video has been made private now. Yeah,
it was quite the meeting, and I was listening to the meeting, as I mentioned before, and it suddenly stopped, and I thought that the line had gone down, or something.
Yeah.
And I did ask someone from the municipality, has the meeting finished? It was about half an hour after it stopped.
Yes.
And I was told it had finished.
Oh, okay.
But there was no closing of the meeting
Yes.
on the recording.
Okay.
And yes, and normally you can go back, because often I go back
that's what
to
you've
these
done.
when I'm doing an article for the paper.
Yeah.
I'll
When
go
you're
back.
feeling bored.
Yes, I'll listen again and say, "Wow, did he really say that?"
Oh no, she didn't.
So I'm going to dig a bit more into that.
That'll be
because
interesting, huh?
The other thing I've seen, which is quite strange, is that other publications, more online publications, reporting that the municipal manager apologized for telling the young councillor to shut up.
No, it's
Definitely wasn't a shut up. Definitely wasn't a
Yeah,
shut up. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll get to the bottom of that.
And keen to hear about that, and hopefully we can uncover it. Can we have, just as we kind of close off, a little bit of a preview about what's coming up in next week's Edge? You have anything cool for us there?
I do have a very cool story.
Nice.
And I don't even know if I should be saying it now because...
Okay,
I
maybe
don't
not.
wanna
Okay,
ruin the
goodbye, everyone.
surprise. No, come on.
Okay, let's hear
So
it.
an old friend of mine, he's in his 70s or so, Greg Alcock. He's a golfer. And he's not a professional golfer. I don't know how good he is, but I haven't heard him winning competitions or anything like that.
Okay.
So him and quite a few others at the Sedge golf course play on a Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah, the links, huh?
Yes, yeah. So on a particular hole, I can't remember the exact detail, but he was playing with his four mates, and he hit a hole in one.
Oh, nice.
Which is such a lovely story, and it does happen, and we go, wow, yeah, well done. It's his first one in his life.
Yeah.
What a lovely story.
My dad almost got one, by the way.
But he says, wait.
Yeah.
When he was telling me the story, I said, what do you mean? He said, on the very next hole, I hit another hole in one.
No ways.
Yep.
No way.
2 hole-in-ones consecutive. Do you know, on the professional circuit, that's the big, the Masters and all that. It's only happened twice in history.
Goodness gracious.
He said he's done some Googling on this, quite obviously.
I'm sure, he's going to have shirts made.
The figure...
I'll buy one of those shirts.
The figure he got was the odds against him getting that were 12 million to 1. 12 million
That's history
to 1.
made. Oh, man, that is epic.
12 million. So...
do you remember which holes they were?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, I have got those details, but I will put it in the edge.
Okay, we'll definitely pick that up.
Yeah, I just want to know how many drinks he had to buy in the pub afterwards.
My goodness.
How he got, unfortunately, he had his 3 golfing mates with him.
Imagine if he was alone. That would have been a tragic
That would have been
story.
a tragedy. Or even if you just had one person with you.
That's right, But
so,
a whole crew.
wow, what an amazing
that
story.
That is fantastic.
Hey? It's just unheard of.
So even miraculous things can happen in our little town. We hope that they do happen with a lot of things in the municipality.
Yep. Price of coffee could come down.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Don't say it. It might not happen. It'll never. But Palmer, thanks so much, man. That's been a jam. Really good to hear and excited for it.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to hear from people who have listened. Yeah. We moved it into the middle of the week, the following week, so that we can have a bit of last week's paper and a bit of next week's paper.
That's right,
Do people like that, or would they prefer it to come out straight after the previous paper, which is what we used to do?
Absolutely, and let us know if you've got any thoughts, if you want to drop us a voice note or something like that, if you've got a particular thing that you want to speak about, let us know, and then we'll chat about it. We've got Bomber, who's just the most knowledgeable man in the whole room right now.
Except for one.
Except for this other guy who's here. No, we've got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and it's always great to speak about it. So thank you so much for that, Bomber.
Thank you,
and that's going to be awesome.
Mate.
Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic week and weekend, and looking forward to seeing you around.
Goodbye.